The first thing to understand about a blown account is that the market did not take your money. You gave it away. You paid the highest possible price for a lesson you had refused to learn cheaply. The final catastrophic loss was not the cause of your ruin. It was merely the symptom of a disease that had been progressing for weeks or months. The disease is a failure of character, a breakdown in discipline, and an arrogant refusal to listen to the only voice that matters, the voice of the tape itself. Your account is now at zero. Your mind is a storm of regret, anger, and a desperate, frantic urge to get back in and win it back. This urge is the most dangerous impulse a speculator can have. It is the siren song of a second, more permanent ruin. To recover, you must first wage war not on the market, but on yourself. You must systematically dismantle the flawed thinking that led to your destruction and rebuild your entire operational framework from the bedrock of principles that you, in your greed and impatience, chose to ignore. This is not a quick fix. It is a painful, methodical process. There are 5 steps. Do not skip a single one. The first step is the most difficult because it requires absolute inaction at a time when every fiber of your being screams for action. You must stop immediately. Close your trading platform. Turn off the financial news. Do not look at a quote. Do not read a market report. Do not discuss a stock. You must physically and mentally unplug from the market for a period of no less than 2 weeks. Go away. Find a place where the ticker, what you would call the live price feed, cannot reach you. This is not a vacation. It is a quarantine. You have been infected with bad judgment, and you are a danger to any capital you can get your hands on. When I suffered a great loss, I found it essential to leave Wall Street entirely. I would go fishing or simply sit by the ocean. The purpose was not relaxation, but to force a pattern, interrupt. I needed to stop the feedback loop of loss, anger, and revenge trading. In the heat of the battle, after a string of defeats, a man's mind is not fit for making financial decisions. He sees ghosts on the tape. He imagines tops and bottoms that are not there. He is trading not based on conditions, but on a desperate hope to undo his mistakes. He wants to force the market to give him his money back. The market has never once responded to the hopes of any man. It responds only to supply and demand. By stepping away, you starve the emotional beast. You allow the fog of war to lift from your mind. Only when you can look at the market again without feeling the sting of your loss are you even remotely prepared to begin the second step. If you trade one more time before this quarantine is complete, you will lose again. That is not a prediction. It is a certainty. Your judgment is compromised, and the market is an expert at identifying and exploiting compromised judgment. The second step is the autopsy. You must return to the scene of the crime and analyze every single trade that led to your demise. This is not an exercise in self-pity or blame. It is a cold, forensic accounting of your errors. You must create a ledger, and on one side write down the trade, the entry, the exit, and the loss. On the other side, you must write down the rule you broke. Did you average down a loss? Write it down. That was the cardinal sin. You were reinforcing failure, throwing good money after bad in the hope that a mistake would magically become a success. Did you hold on to a losing position long past your mental stop because some so-called expert on television or a friend gave you a tip? Write it down. You abdicated your own thinking and paid the price for another man's opinion, which is always worthless. Did you trade too large for your account size using excessive leverage? Write it down. You were not speculating. You were gambling on a coin flip with ruinous odds. Did you get stopped out of a trade only to immediately jump back in to get even? Write it down. You allowed ego and revenge to make your decisions, and the market always humbles ego. You must be brutally honest. This ledger is your tuition bill. You have paid for an education, and this is the moment you must sit down and study the lesson. If you fail to extract the wisdom from your disaster, You have not only lost your money, but you have also wasted the experience. The sting of the loss is the only thing that can burn the rules into your mind so that you never violate them again. The goal here is to arrive at a state of intellectual forgiveness, which is wholly different from emotional forgiveness. You forgive yourself as a professional forgives an error, by identifying its root cause and installing a system to ensure it never repeats. You do not forget the pain. You harness it. The pain is what will stop you from making the same mistake the next time greed or fear whispers in your ear. Jesse Livermore consistently stressed that Wall Street extracts a heavy cost of instruction for every lesson learned the hard way. Fortunately, the core principles he developed to survive these expensive market penalties were captured for posterity by Edwin Lefebvre in the 1923 masterpiece, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. It stands as the finest possible literary training ground, allowing you to absorb decades of painful operational experience without ever having to risk $1 of your own capital. To ensure this timeless wisdom translates accurately to the modern, computerized arena, we advise seeking out the Max Davidson Annotated edition. Davidson's careful commentary is indispensable for bridging the gap between Livermore's era and ours. A link to this essential edition is provided in the description below. When I went broke after listening to the well-intentioned but disastrous advice of Percy Thomas in the cotton market, I did not blame him. I blamed myself. The tape was telling me I was wrong, the market action was weak, but I listened to the man instead of the facts. The lesson was clear. A speculator must be his own man, believe in his own judgment, and follow his own rules. That single devastating loss taught me more than 100 small wins. Your loss must do the same for you. The third step is tactical. You must acquire a new stake, but it must be small. It must be what I call exploratory capital. After I had gone bankrupt more than once, I had to seek backing. I never asked for a fortune. I asked for a modest sum, just enough to get back into the game under the right conditions. I once started a comeback with a stake of only 500 shares. The amount must be small enough that it does not engage your emotions. It must be an amount of money that you can lose without it affecting your lifestyle or your sleep. If you are trading with scared money, rent money, grocery money, you have already lost. Scared money cannot afford to take a small loss, and so it is forced to take the big one. Your mind will tell you that you need a large stake to make back what you lost. This is your greed talking, the very same voice that led you to ruin. You must ignore it. Your goal is not to get rich quick. Your goal is to prove to yourself that you can follow your rules and trade correctly. Profit is a byproduct of correct trading, not the goal itself. Start with an account that is perhaps 10% of your original size. If you cannot make money with a small account, you will only lose money faster with a large one. This smaller stake forces you to be selective. It forces you to wait for the absolute best setups, because your ammunition is limited. It removes the temptation to overtrade or take flyers. This is not about limiting your upside. It is about rebuilding your foundation on solid ground, one brick at a time. Trading with this small stake is your parole hearing. You are proving to the market and to yourself that you can be trusted with capital again. The fourth step is the hardest of all. You must wait. After your quarantine, after your autopsy, and after securing your small stake, you must sit in cash and watch the market. You are now a hunter, not a gambler. You are waiting for what I always called the A+ setup, or the one right trade. You are waiting for a moment when the line of least resistance is so clear, so unmistakable, that the trade becomes almost a mathematical certainty. What does this look for? It means the general market is in a clear, confirmed uptrend or downtrend. You are not trying to pick a bottom or a top. You are waiting for the trend to establish itself. Within that strong market, a leading sector must emerge. Stocks move in groups, and you want to be in the strongest group. Within that strongest group, you are looking for the leader, the stock that is moving first, fastest, and with the most power. Finally, you must wait for that leading stock to form a proper consolidation and then break out from a pivot point on a clear increase in volume. This might take weeks. It might take months. During this time, you do nothing. You sit on your hands and you let hundreds of mediocre, tempting B-grade setups pass you by. This act of disciplined waiting is more important than any trade you will make. It is the practice of patience. It is the exercise of control. When I was making my greatest comebacks, I would often sit in cash for very long periods, observing, studying, and waiting. My brokers thought I was idle. I was doing the most important work a speculator can do, nothing. I was waiting for the perfect alignment of all my variables. The average person wants to trade every day because they crave action. A professional wants to trade only when the odds are overwhelmingly in his favor. Your comeback depends entirely on your ability to wait for that one perfect pitch. To swing at anything else is to invite another strikeout. You have only one or two good swings in you with your small stake. You cannot afford to waste them on foolishness. The fifth and final step is execution, but it must be done with the humility you have learned. When your A-plus setup finally appears, you do not mortgage the house and bet it all. You begin with a probe. You test the market with a small position, perhaps a quarter of your intended full size. This is your reconnaissance mission. You are sending a scout ahead to see if the path is clear. There are two possible outcomes. The first is that the trade immediately goes against you. If it does, you exit without hesitation at your predetermined stop. The loss is small, almost meaningless to your stake. You have learned valuable information. The timing was wrong or the setup was flawed. You go back to waiting. The second outcome is that the trade immediately shows you a profit. This is the signal you have been waiting for. It is the market confirming your judgment. It is the first green shoot of confidence growing back in the barren field of your account. Only then, when the market has proven you right, do you add to your position. You might add a second quarter of your intended size as it moves further in your favor. This is the principle of pyramiding, not averaging down a loser, but averaging up a winner. You are pressing your bet only when the odds are clearly with you. Your confidence is not rebuilt through affirmations or positive thinking. It is rebuilt through the evidence of successful trades, executed according to a sound plan. The first small win, even if it is just a few dollars, is psychologically monumental. It breaks the losing streak. It proves the process works. The second win reinforces it. You slowly, methodically rebuild your capital and your nerve at the same time. You're not trying to make back your old losses. That money is gone. You are focused only on the next trade, on perfect execution, on following your rules. Over time, by focusing on the process, the profits will take care of themselves. Ruin is a cleansing fire. It burns away your ego, your impatience, and your illusions. It leaves behind only the hard, unchangeable truth of the market. Most people who blow up an account quit the game, blaming manipulation or bad luck. They fail to see that the market is a mirror, and their ruin was a reflection of their own undisciplined character. But for the few who can endure this fire and follow these 5 steps, the experience is transformative. They emerge from the ashes humbled, wiser, and with a profound respect for risk. They are no longer gamblers. They are true speculators, and their real journey has just begun. The market will always be there, offering new opportunities. The question is whether you will be there to meet them, having paid your tuition and finally learned the lesson.